Hey guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know me, I am Raisa.
Immanuel with an I.
So welcome back to another episode of our new series called R&I Raw, where we talk about more meaningful topics as we get less funnier and more deeper.
My ocean, she riding to my ocean. Quite frankly, you're my ocean, my ocean.
So this is gonna be part 3 of our series. We decided to go deeper than the previous videos. We spoke about breakups and how we dealt with them and what we brought into our relationship and all that. And I would only hope that a lot of you got good insight out of that. So today we're gonna talk about the race issue. Being a person of color in this country, our views, our stories, what we've gone through.
So with everything happening in the world right now, I'm sure it's no secret anymore. It's something that's been happening and something that we need to pay close attention to for the rest of our lives. Before we go anywhere, I'd like to give my respects to everyone that's part of the movement, and that we thinking of all the families both in South Africa and the rest of the world that has lost family members because they were innocently killed just because of the color of their skin. It didn't feel right for us to go on posting about other things when all of this was happening, although I'd like to say that talking about racism and how it's affected us was something that we did from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Because it's been a big part of us.
Yeah.
And it's something that we now get to experience together. I want you to know that for as long as you're going to be following us, this will always be a topic. It is always a conversation that we would like to uphold.
And yeah, I think you placed it very well by saying it's always been a part of us. And from my side, I can firmly say that I've always tried to avoid it. I know it would infuriate you when people attack us, or attack you rather, because you were somebody that looks like me. I've never really spoken about it. This is going to be like the first thorough time that I open up. And I know a lot of you probably think that it doesn't affect me or doesn't get to me or whatever the case may be. So maybe if you hear a few of my stories, my upbringing, what I had to go through, it will probably give you better perspective of why I deal with race issues the way I do, not paying that much attention to it. Anyway,
I've always also wondered why, or people that were getting attacked because they're black, why they never spoke about it and why they weren't advocates against racism. And then I realized that it's not your problem, it's not their problem, it's our problem. And why I also say it's our problem, even though I'm classified as colored and I'm also a person of color, it's still our problem because we were brought up to believe that just because we were a bit lighter that we're better off. So I fully understand why you haven't spoken out, and I don't expect you to, because like I said, it's not your problem, it's not your fight, because at the end of the day you didn't ask to be part of whatever's going on. You were just a victim.
yeah.
And as much as we can create awareness, we're not creating awareness for the black person, we're creating awareness for myself and people that's lighter than me.
Look, there's a lot of things that I've seen that you don't fully get when certain things are being said to us. It's because as I speak for myself, I'm never going to speak for all black people because we receive racism in different forms. But for myself, it's very different from me now because I'm experiencing a different kind of racism. Only at my age now am I really seeing where the racism came from most of my life. As a young black man, I was made to believe that racism comes from the white man. It comes from somebody that is white. Throughout my life, I was taught to believe that, and coming from where I came from, which is a place in Joburg called Regepak, it's a colored community. For those of you who don't know, my mom and her family are colored people, and my dad and his family is black. So they got divorced when I was like a year old. So I moved to Regepak with my mom and grew up with her family. She raised me with her family. So I was brought up in a colored community. And as a black boy, growing up in a colored community was a very tough thing to experience, and I only realized that now as an adult, because as a child it was part of my life, experiencing vast amount of things, but and then coming to Cape Town also and experiencing a different type of racism, it put a lot of things in perspective, you know what I mean? So basically what I'm trying to say is, when I grew up in Regepak, a colored community, as a black child, like I was the first one to get picked on. I was the first one they would want to test or tease or whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? Because like I'm the one that is different. I'm being seen as, I'm assuming, like the weaker link, or you know what I mean? It's easy to sideline me or pick me out to get picked on or teased or whatever the case may be. So I used to fight a lot because I didn't like what was happening to me. I knew from a very young age that these things were done to me because I looked different to a Ricardo or Gershwin or whatever the case may be. I'm dark skinned, like kids can be mean, bro. Your kids can be mean. So as a child, I mean, since primary school, I used to fight a lot, man, because I would get teased because of the way I look, the color of my skin. It was black this, black that, and so it became a part of me. I remember I got in a few fights, and I used to say at home, okay, now I was in a fight like this, or this one was bullying me, or whatever the case may be. I learned very quickly that I shouldn't bring up the race thing, because if I do that, my family would like flip, and my uncles, whatever, would want to go to school and like just cause a riot and whatever the case may be, And so I learned very quick not to do that, because also I didn't want to embarrass myself by, I can't fight my battles, I'm calling my family. As that pursued, I stopped letting my family know that I'm being bullied or that I'm fighting a lot, because I'd have marks and stuff like that. So I kept quiet, come home every time and tell my mom, no, it was playing soccer, we were too rough, I fell, whatever the case may be. But I was messed up good, like, yo, bruh. Because I would fight a lot. I mean, if I get called a certain name or derogatory name or whatever, then I'd just punch the guy and then, ooh. I don't know, I was almost expelled, I don't know how many times. And this is in primary school.
Sure.
And so I think my mom did know that I was getting into fights. I think she did know.
What could she do?
Exactly, she's a single parent, and so
I think it must have been so hard on her also to keep having to explain to you that, or explain to you what is happening in the world for people to treat you like that. Like, how was she supposed to find the right words at the time? I mean, when somebody's young, you feel like they don't always understand. But if you think back and you remember all these things, you kind of remember how much you actually did understand, and how much it affected you. And at the time, grown-ups think, oh, you don't understand, it's not affecting you, but actually it is.
So when I was still in primary school, I was traveling with the transport, and there were like colored kids. I was like the only black kid in the transport. So most of the fights would happen there and stuff like that, in the bullying and all that, So I think when I got to like, what is it, grade 6 or grade 5. How old are you when you're in grade 5 or grade 6? Anyway, I was very like grade 6. So my mom took one day off from work one day. And she told me that, okay, this is it. You're gonna start traveling on your own now. You cannot travel with those kids anymore. And I mean, the driver was an adult. This guy didn't also stop the fights and all those things, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like, nah, my child is not protected here, he's not safe.
It's like set in stone already what's gonna happen.
Exactly. So she taught me from a young age to travel with the train at that age. And I would walk like for a good 45 minutes to the train station and then pass like maybe 8 or 9 stations to get to the area which I went to school to. And then from there, another hour of walking to school. It's just going to school every day at that age. And then she waited for me. School came out, and then again she was there after school, and then we went back home. She showed me that one day, and then from there, since that age, up until matric, that's what I did to go to school. It was my means of transport.
All because you were avoiding being bullied.
Yeah.
For your
Yeah, but at the time I didn't understand like why my mom had to do that. I thought maybe she's saving money because obviously it's expensive, you know what I mean, with the transport. It's cheaper with the train. But only once I finished school, like then that's only when I knew, oh, okay, this was the reason why she did that. So from that early stage, I already knew that I come from a colored community. These are what the colored guys and kids are capable of. So when I went to school, so when I'm in Regepark, I'm colored. But when I go to school, I'm black. That's when I chilled with the black, other black students and stuff like that. Like throughout primary school up until high school, I only chilled with like other black kids. And amazingly, the Zulu that I know now came from me befriending other black students, you know what I mean? Because everything was Afrikaans with me growing up. Everything, even at home it was Afrikaans. So it's actually amazing how I remembered the language just from befriending other black kids. So yeah, I think that was the beginning stages of experiencing racism. Looking at it now, it's obvious that, I mean, we were kids. It's obvious that we didn't know much about color and differences or whatever the case may be. You know, when I look at it now, it's safe to say that as a child, I adapt that from my home. I'm being taught that that person there is different to you. You understand what I'm saying? Because if I could remember well, it was the same in my house. Like, I was always told that, hey, colored person is different, or colored person that, and like to swear or whatever. Okay, so I learned very quickly that, oh, okay, I'm not the same as, which is a wrong concept to teach a child. I'll be honest. Like, that is not something I would ever teach our children. You know what I mean? But so in no way am I defending my family or people from my family. No. It took me to grow into the person that I am and learn in my own way what racism actually means and how different shapes and forms it has, you know. So it started out there, noticing what racism is. I never went to like a Model C school, white school, if I may say that. So that is all I knew on the colored side at home and being black at school, you know. So when I finished school and I started working, getting into the corporate industry, this is like the first time I'm encountering working with white people. Remember, I know nothing about these people. All my life I was taught that this is the enemy. This is who you should hate because this is who brought apartheid, and this is, you know what I mean? So I already had that mindset. But when I started working and engaging with these people, then I saw that it's actually not like that. You know what I mean? If anything, I just got introduced into a different world. But where I came from was violent. Where I came from was verbally abusive, physically abusive, was dark, you know what I mean? And yeah, I am engaging with these people who I thought were the devil, and it's not like that, you know what I mean? Yes, you can see that they live a different life, you can see that they treat you differently. I'm not speaking for them. I'm just saying that from
you could count the privileges they had compared to you.
Of course. That's where I saw the differences. You know what I mean? But and I'm gonna come back to what I'm saying now. So coming to Cape Town also and experiencing that racism all over again in a different form now, obviously this time. Being with you was a problem in other people's eyes. I couldn't understand that. I could not understand that. And that's when I realized that actually the racism I've experienced in my life, in my entire life, never even came from a white person. Like, it came from people of color. You know what I mean? People that suffered the same way black people did, exactly the same way in apartheid. You know what I mean? And it just made me question, like, are we that backwards to even think that me and you are different, even though you have longer or straighter hair and you're light in complexion? But do you honestly believe that you are different to me? In what way? How? You know what I mean? Because our forefathers struggled the same way back in the day. You know what I mean? And it brought me back to what I wanna highlight now: the fact that I've never been called a kafir before from a white man in my life. I'm 32 years old. I'm yet to experience that. But I've been called a kafir multiple times from a colored person, multiple times since a child. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I find that's very unfortunate.
It's funny that you say that, because I remember the school I went to, I always felt like I was different. Yet there wasn't a black person on that school. There was the white person on that school. We were all colored. We all came from the same area. I don't remember a person there that was like it was a further distance than where the school was. And like, I knew that I was different because they would make comments like, oh, my hair's straighter than these, and oh, I'm a Barbie doll, and oh, she's stubby.
And these were other colored people.
And I live in the area that the school was, and you know, my area is also classified as like the wood, or one of the woods. So like, I never had friends because I was always different.
In their eyes.
Yeah, like, they would speak Afrikaans, and just because I didn't speak Afrikaans, I was stubby, or I was like white in their eyes. And I also remember, like, even though it's probably not as like hectic as your experience was, but I remember being singled out, and I remember being the teacher's favorite.
Yo, that made it worse.
And people never saw it as because I was actually good with my schoolwork. But it was also because when we made a poster, I was lucky to be able to make my poster look beautiful. So it kind of just seemed like I was on a different level to everyone else, but it wasn't. It was because I just took pride in everything I did, and I was creative, so immediately my projects would look like. And also I remember being chosen to be in plays. I remember being Jesus because my hair was long and straight, and like I would feel very like I wasn't part of them, and I so badly wanted to be part of everyone else. Like, I was so down to earth, yet they made me out to be like I wasn't. So there is a lot of racism within coloreds as well.
And it's funny you should mention that, because I understand now why you felt the way you did. Because if I look at your parents, and if I speak to your daddy for hours and we speak about this country, apartheid and all that, I see what he has instilled in you, in your brother and your sister, when it comes to the race matter. You know what I mean? And I honor him for that, because what you're saying now, I understand why you're saying it and why you felt like that, because you were never taught that at home, at Charles. You know, you understand what I'm saying? And also for him accepting me as a person first, that said a lot. Like, I will honor him for the rest of my life, because what I've been taught of how your community is, you know, the colored person in Cape Town, more especially the Muslim colored person, like, it's shocking the things I found out. But then I saw the messages that people send you, the hate mail that we get. Then I'm like, okay, but it's accurate. This makes sense. This is what people were referring to. You know what I mean? And that is something that I don't really want to tap into, because I know for a fact it's not something that I will change, or me and you being together will ever change. You know, and I find it sad, however, though, that our generation should adapt to what our parents went through. And if they are racist and if they are divided in some way, it's fine. To some extent you can understand, because they come from a different era. But for me and you to participate in that, it makes no sense. You are choosing to do that. It's your choice. I mean, just the fact that you're with me now, like, I can see how you've changed as a person, because your perspective on things and people has broadened up to new horizons, you know. I want to share with you guys a story that happened. This was like first couple of months when we started dating.
Before you go anyway, just before I lose my train of thought,
Okay.
I just want to say that you witnessed my dad being like that and installing good values and models, whereas I haven't always been innocent.
Yeah, and the story that I wanted to say now was going to reveal that.
And whenever I think about this, I feel like I keep saying to myself, it's not that I was racist, it was that I was ignorant. But actually, I was racist because it's the same thing. Like, I don't want to sugarcoat racism by calling it ignorance, because quite frankly, I was being racist. I've given racist slurs before, without realizing it, because it seemed so normal to say these things.
Because you're surrounded by people that thinks the same, that says the same, that does the same.
And like I said, there's like a very thin line between making a joke and something being very ignorant, because amongst my colored people, I'll make a joke and we'll all laugh about it, but I don't realize if I said that in front of a black person, it would actually be really offensive.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm not ashamed to say that I've been that person before, because I think we need to start like normalizing the fact that you can change, and you can change your opinion once you get educated. It's okay. Like, rather admit to your flaws and admit to...
That's when the change comes in.
And rather be like a recovering racist than
Yeah.
I mean, it was little things that I wouldn't regard as racism, but now that I'm closer with a black person and I'm seeing things differently, it 100% was me being racist. Like, the fact that I told my mom I would never date a black person.
And she reminds you of that
She
all the
reminds me
time.
of that. And do you know what the messed up part was? I told her, oh, maybe it would be like those black businessmen that come on the flight. That is sick. If I think back on, why would I even say that? Like, oh, if
And what did your mom say?
She just said, yeah, it's our sin. Like, she was always like,
You will end up with the black man.
yeah. She told me, because I can't even believe that I said something like that, because
This was God getting you back, and we're like, boom, there.
I would
Get you the blackest guy
never,
ever.
I would never say something like that now, and I feel like that's the mistake that lots of us make. Like, you think you're not racist, but the little things that you say, they grow and it's planted in your head, so you act out whatever's in your head and you act out how you're feeling inside. So me saying, oh, I'll never date a black guy, I'll only date a black business guy, if he wasn't like, if he was just a normal guy coming to me, I would treat him differently. But if a black guy now in a suit came, I would be like, hi sir, like, because I said that in my head and now I'm loving it. And for me, that's a problem. Shows that you are racist. So before you say that you're not racist, just think back, like, on the way you think and the things that you said. Like, it really plays a big part.
That's big of you to say. Never heard you speak like this before.
No, you have.
No, like specific. Like,